after they'd gone through 100 girls, and I was doing a screen test, Curtiz comes over to me after I think they decided they sort of wanted me. And I had pigtails down to here. And he said, we want to cut the pigtails off. Well, tears welled up into my eyes, and Duke was standing next to me. He saw the whole transaction, and when Curtiz walked away, he came over to me and says, don't worry, I won't let them cut your braids.
Hi, I'm Rob Wood. Welcome to A Word on Westerns. We are talking to an actress who worked with John Wayne, not in a Western, but in a family drama. The film was Trouble Along the Way, and the actress is our guest today, Sherry Jackson. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you so much.
Well, I know that we want to hear all about John Wayne today because he's still the biggest star in the world, it seems
That's what I understand.
His sons and daughters do. The John Wayne Cancer Foundation is a huge success. We love him. He did great work, and so did you.
Thank you.
And what was it like working with John Wayne? This was a Michael Curtiz film, Trouble Along the Way.
He was difficult, but Duke wasn't.
Was it difficult to understand what he was saying? He had a very thick accent.
He had a very thick accent, but I could understand it most of the time. Duke was my savior because Michael Curtiz was not the easiest man to work with. He used to pick a whipping boy at the beginning of each movie, and because I was the easiest picking in that show, because I was only 10 or 11, I was his whipping boy. So he was not kind to me.
That's shocking that he would pick out a little girl to pick.
Well, who else? That's the easiest. There wasn't any little people but me. So I was just picking, he liked to pick on me.
Well, weren't you spunky back then?
I was always spunky, but my mother wouldn't let me be. So she always tamped me down, saying, you know, you can't say the things you're feeling. You just have to roll with it.
Well, you certainly were a precocious daughter for John Wayne in that.
Thank you. That was a great role because I don't know how many of you have seen them film? Okay, quite a few. All right, that's good because the story is he's an alcoholic, or he's a womanizer, alcoholic kind of almost, and
yeah, he was pretty obnoxious in that film.
Well, he doesn't take care of his daughters the way he should, and he has custody of her. So the show is really about his interaction with me and how they're trying to take me away from him, and he starts to pay attention to me in a good fatherly way, and so I don't get removed from his custody. And so it was we had some great funny scenes. My most favorite scene, I think, is when I come home. I have an apron on. I come home after school. He's still in bed, nursing his hangover. Mm-hmm. And Michael Curtiz was the director, and he loved to do lots of bits, or we like the scene to keep moving. So here I am saying all these lines. At the same time, in between, I have to remember to take the bottle of the tomato juice, the lime, the ice, pour it all in the glass, stir it, whatever else you put in for a hangover drink, I don't know, but whatever, I had to put that in and make it for his morning hangover drink, and say all my lines in between. So I had a lot of business, is the word I was looking for, to do before the dialogue started. And it was a great scene because he comes out and he's like, he has a hangover. And I give it to him, and we have this dialogue of this young girl talking to her father, who is not taking good care of her. And then I think I say to him, the lady that's going to check on us is coming over today.
Who was Donna Reed?
Yes. And I didn't know who it was, but...
She didn't have her TV show yet.
No, I mean, I didn't know I hadn't met her in the movie. Yeah, but she was lovely. I was worried that she'd come in and discover that he really is a drunk, really is not a good father. So he perks up and she comes in and we have this great scene with the three of us. And he has some great lines that I won't quote.
Well, you mentioned that John Wayne was your savior on set.
Yes.
What incidents do you remember that he protected you?
Well, several, but the first one, I didn't know him at all. I didn't know the director at all. I just heard things that the director was really, really tough. And so I was doing a screen test after they'd gone through 100 girls. And I was doing a screen test. Curtiz comes over to me after I think they decided they sort of wanted me, but they weren't quite sure that I was old enough. And so he came over and he said, and I had pigtails down to here. And he said, we want to cut the pigtails off. Well, tears welled up into my eyes, and Duke was standing next to me. He saw the whole transaction, and when Curtiz walked away, he came over to me and says, don't worry, I won't let them cut your braids.
Great. Yeah.
So at that point, I guess he wanted me for the part too.
I would say so.
Yeah, so I let them cut off like 3 inches, which was nothing because I have really long hair. And that made me, in their eyes, look older. They also put lifts in my shoes in order to make me look older. So I wore lifts and more older clothes. So that was the beginning of him saving me.
He did it other times in the film too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The best time was when I was doing a scene. Now this is towards the end of the movie. I'm doing a scene which is so dramatic and is a key scene in the film. Because he and I live together in the same space. And, but we have a curtain in between so that there's no sexual stuff. It doesn't look like he's got a bed on one side, I have a bed on the other side. But and also the bells would ring all the time in the tower because we were in the Catholic Church, so we always had the bells ringing. So we have this wonderful emotional scene where we're talking and I'm telling him all the things that I feel, and he's telling me all the reasons that he has to do this stuff because he wasn't a football coach. He was earlier, then they got him back as a football coach because the team was dying, the school needed money, so this was all for money. So he was explaining it to me, and he said he's tried as hard as he could, but this was the best he could do. And so I look at him and I say, it's okay, Pop, you didn't make the world. At that point, everybody's supposed to cry. It was a poignant scene. But what happened is, I kept going up on my lines. I had worked, which they used to call me One Take Jackson. I never went up on my lines. And, but this time I kept going up on my lines, and why, I don't know. So I see the production manager in the corner of my eye, and he's going, which means we're going overtime.
That'll relax you.
Golden time, meal time, whatever. And so that made me more nervous. And, well, I almost got through the scene, and one of the grips, way up high on a ladder, shouted down, well, she had it this morning, but she's lost it now. I went, oh dear, that's terrible. So I went ahead, I did the scene, got my lines right, and was in the can. and everybody could go home. So that was one that was a very poignant scene. And I left out the best part. When the guy yells from the ladder, "Well, she had it this morning, but she's lost it now." I mean, I was mortified. And he stood up, he was sitting on the bed, and he stood up and he went, however he does it, with the shoulders. He does this bit, and he stands up to his full height, and he looks at the guy on the ladder and he says, "Next they'll be having her sweep out the stage."
Hi, I'm Rob Word, and I'm so glad you joined us today to watch this episode of A Word on Westerns. We have over 250 episodes up, and we've made them for people like you and for me who love Westerns. We're the only regularly scheduled talk show devoted to Westerns. And I want you to watch, comment, and share these episodes if you like them. All you have to do is go to this page right here, click on that, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.